Hello, and welcome to this GibbsCAM Tech Tip. When we get into discussion about GibbsCAM and all different aspects of it, I see one area that tends to get overlooked quite often, and that is the preferences. Having an understanding that these options are there can help to smooth out our workflow and make programming just a little bit easier on us. Going into the preferences is typically my first step after an update or using the recovery tool because there are a few here that I personally prefer to use. And these are my top 5 preference settings that we're about to go over in no particular order. But I'll turn off this rendering and go up to File, Preferences. And that's going to open up our preference window here. And we can see that there are certainly a bunch of options to go through, but really the most important ones to me and the ones that I'm going to cover are within the interface and the file section over here in the menu. So first, let's go up to interface. And my first setting that I really enjoy using here is always show tool preview on hover. This helps me out frequently because it allows me the capability of viewing all of the available information about a tool without having to actually double click and load the tool dialog window. We can simply just hover over the tile. So really useful in my opinion. Now my next go-to setting is open process dialog on opload. If you're unfamiliar with this setting, let me turn that back off, then you're probably used to double clicking an operation which loads the process down here in the bottom left, and we come over here and double click that to finally open up our dialog window. But this setting is really great in my opinion because with it turned on, all I have to do is double click the operation one time and it loads the process tile and automatically opens up the process dialog. No more double clicking the op, then the process to enter parameters. It just requires us to do it only once in the operation list. Now below that setting is activate machining coordinate system on opload. And that's really great, especially if you do a bunch of positional work that requires, several coordinate systems with planes at different angles. You can see this program here has several different coordinate systems, but without that option checked, I might click any one of these tiles and now I have to go to rotate to see which coordinate system I'm machining in. It kept me in number 2 over here on the menu, but this operation is in fact being machined in coordinate system number 4. So again, with this option turned on, no more guessing, no more having to go to the rotate tab. We'll just double click an operation. And it looks like this one is in number 2. So maybe we go back up here and see if we get moved around somewhere. There it is. Jumped us to number 4. Machining coordinate system is number 4. So I think that's really useful as well. Now up next, we have the tile single click behavior. This setting was added with version 25. And what this preference does is when we choose select tile and redraw toolpath, it allows us to view the toolpath from an operation without having to refresh the background. What we're used to is maybe highlighting a tile and in the view palette possibly having to hit the redraw button, or you highlight a tile and just refresh your background or your work area by moving it around slightly. But now with this option, no more of that extra work. You just turn it on and now a single click of each operation tile automatically loads the toolpath. So again, just trying to make life a little bit easier for us here. And then last but not least, I know I talked about the file section earlier, so I'm going to jump over to that now for the last one. And what I'm looking for here is alert when overwriting post output file. I think this is probably the most important setting out of all of these I've discussed. Without this option checked, you can save over existing posted code without any warnings. And this can cause issues if you forget to change a posted program's file name and accidentally save over something that already exists. But with this option turned on, if that ever happens, then you're prompted with a window letting you know a file with that name already exists and asks if you'd like to overwrite it. This has saved me plenty of headaches in the past, so I always like to turn that on. And if you like to have multiple applications of Gibbs open, multiple tiles at the bottom instead of just one, then go ahead and check Launch New Application on File as well there. I'll throw that one in. That's another useful one. Every time you go to open up another application of GibbsCAM, you get a new tile down here. Multiple applications opened at once versus only one. So that's it. These are my top 5 plus that little extra one I threw in there, user preferences that I utilize every single day. Again, knowing these are here and what they do can certainly make the workflow more efficient and smooth. And I hope you found some of these useful. If you have any other questions about preferences or any other aspect of GibbsCAM, then please feel free to reach out to your local reseller.